Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. We hope everybody enjoyed the post-game show we had with Tay Berry, and we will continue to have those each week after the games. Tonight, though, Grant, Jeb, it's Labor Day Monday. Florida State still sucks, and Samford is 0-1. How are y'all doing?
Be careful, Sam. That Boston College Florida State game is not over yet.
It's not over. That's true. It's 14-3 at the moment. It's 14-3 at the moment.
Why can't we go to Tallahassee next week and not Gainesville, right?
Serious. Well, I don't know if there's much of a difference.
That's probably true, yeah.
We'll get to the Florida game, but I'd love seeing the Instagram and the tweets about the team kind of falling apart already in Gainesville after one game. So maybe you might be in for a little bit of a surprise. But Jeb, I know you weren't on the post-game show with us, and you were certainly vocal in the group chat throughout the game. So we're just going to kick it off. First segment tonight. Jeb, your thoughts on the West Georgia game? Oh, and a surprise guest, Michael. Michael is in the house.
Quad box, back-to-back weeks.
We're quad boxing. I've done that maybe twice, but
Michael, pretend that the title you just saw was Jeb and
Michael. Yeah, there you go.
Perfect thoughts on the West Georgia game. Jeb, the floor is yours.
Yeah, they're tired of hearing us talk. Someone else talk.
So my analysis from as a fan, is frustrating. Just the game was frustrating to watch overall. Not only was the broadcast absolutely horrible and didn't tell me what the downs were, and the guy had mic issues the entire game. I was like,
you don't need to know the downs.
I need a little bit of professionalism from ESPN. That's all.
Actually, on the scoreboard, it had the downs, but the distance was never right. So it would say 2nd and 42, and reality it was 2nd and 4. So yeah, they had in-stadium problems too.
I was looking at the chain team to see what down it was. Talking about down efficiency or third down efficiency, we were horrible. 40% third down efficiency in the game. I thought we just couldn't convert. That's 6 for 15, right? On third down. And, we had a couple situations where fourth down put us in a spot, and we ended up converting on every fourth down attempt. But that was a huge concern for the team overall, on the offensive side. I think the rest of the offense played really well. I mean, we beat West Georgia in total yards. Even with them dominating possession. Quincy Crittenden's is the guy for now, at least for the rest of the season, we think. Went for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. So
he looked good.
That's all promising for me. I just think it's frustrating as a fan, not as an analyst, to just have just to lose to West Georgia in their first Division I game.
Yeah.
The defense is the concerning part. The fact that we let this team, and you said this in the group chat, Sam, maybe West Georgia wins their conference, and that kind of changes.
Fingers crossed.
That changes our opinions here, but we'll see, right? And so the defense overall for me is a concerning point right now.
Mm-hmm.
To allow this team to put up 456 yards on us, and
so much.
I'm just disappointed. We should be 1-0. We're going in to play Florida, so okay, maybe we can win that one. We're not going to win that one. We lose to West Georgia. Maybe a miracle happens. I don't know, but I'm just disappointed overall. So,
Mike,
also disappointed. I do think that, and I hope that Western Georgia is a better team throughout the season than we thought they would be going into this game. It's definitely a team that I'm going to keep an eye on for the rest of this season because. Yes. Watching that team, they were better. They were way better than we expected. So I think a lot of this loss goes to the fact that Western Georgia is a decent football team. I hope. West Georgia. I thought their quarterback was pretty good.
Yeah.
One of the best players on the field.
He looked sharp.
he looked sharp.
Yeah, they
He
didn't ask
made
him to
great
do much like
decisions.
down the field, but yeah, great decisions, getting the ball out quick. Yeah,
Just knew how to run the offense.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to like throw the whole season away because we lost this game. But in terms of what we did well and didn't do well, I like what I saw from Quincy, especially with his legs. He's so dynamic. I have a little bit of concern about his some of his decision making in terms of making the right reads and making the reads on time. But I was pretty pleased with what I saw from him. And when he starts running, he's so dynamic. And that's just like a new aspect to Samford football that we really haven't had a ton of under Hatcher in that air raid offense. So love what I saw there. We got to hold on to the freaking football. I mean, I know we just had one interception, one fumble, one turnover from a fumble, but I think we
had
put
3
the ball on the
fumbles
ground
total.
like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
It was bad. So
DJ had 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
To himself.
Which I'm sure, like first game jitters, that's the kind of thing that you get figured out. I will say, comparing to this time last year, we only had three penalties, I think, for 35 yards. So that was promising because last year in our first 2 games that was one of our weak points, just especially like pre-snap penalties, false starts, things like that. And then the defense, not aggressive. Not that aggressive.
Yeah, that was the weird thing. It felt similar.
Yeah. And like I thought that our D-line did an okay job penetrating at first, but they couldn't contain, and that quarterback just carved us up. Anytime we'd break the line, we couldn't do anything else.
I think my main focus was like looking at who's going to be our guy at running back, who's going to be our guy at receiver, trying to understand what that looks like. And Micah Kelly looks good. Brendan Jenkins is a dog. EJ Mason looked good. Ian Cousin made some plays. So DJ Rios was just like the only disappointment. Although I think he can step it, but improve.
In his defense, those corners for West Georgia, I mean, they had some dudes out there who were just really fast, really aggressive.
Yeah,
that was one impressive thing. Just being on that field or on the sideline, watching them so close, is West Georgia played with a ton of intensity. And not that we didn't. I thought some of the intangible factors, like we seemed to be pretty emotional as a team, which is good. We seem to be celebrating the wins and encouraging in the losses moment to moment as a team, which was good. But man, the West Georgia tenaciousness was very visible.
They're definitely, this is their first D1 game, so
yeah, that was the other unfortunate aspect of that for us is, there's going to be a little extra juice. But let's get to the other games in the SoCon. It was a pretty exciting week. And, it almost started with an upset in Western Carolina playing NC State. If only we could all be so fortunate to play an ACC team. Western visited NC State, obviously, on the road. They lost 38-21. VMI got handed it to them by William and Mary, lost 41-7. That was a game we had circled as kind of a bellwether. Is VMI going to be really bad, or are they going to be a little bit better than expected? 41-7, VMI is probably what everybody thought they would be, bottom of the conference as of this moment. Wofford beat Gardner-Webb in one of the surprises of the weekend, and then Mercer handed Presbyterian a 63-10 loss. Now, Presbyterian is not good. It's not good. But an impressive showing nonetheless for the first-year coach and a Mercer team that's kind of cobbled together at the moment. And then on Saturday, and we can talk about whatever y'all want after I finish going through, but on Saturday,
poor Furman,
Ole Miss really helped us out. 76-0 against Furman. Love to see that. Hotty toddy. Tennessee put one on Chattanooga, 69-3.
Nico for Heisman.
Nico started the campaign strong against the Mocs, and then App State, East Tennessee State. Not a terrible, I would say, respectable loss by ETSU, 38-10. I think that's technically a rivalry, right, Mike? ETSU App State.
It's got to be. They're just over the mountain from each other. Pretty packed environment. I watched some of that game, and ETSU hung in there for the first half. Really, App State pulled away in the second half, but it was competitive there for a while.
Well, old conference buddies though too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it was in the SoCon not too long ago.
That's right.
So ETSU maybe a little bit better than we thought, and we kind of had them as a wild card this year. And then the real surprise. Okay, if Wofford beating Gardner Webb was a surprise, this one was a shocker. Citadel over Charleston Southern. It's always great to see the bottom of your conference beating another bottom of the conference because it kind of means that your conference isn't worse. So Charleston Southern, not by any means a powerhouse. They finished with 4 wins last year.
Yeah, that's a rivalry. That's a rivalry too.
Yeah, crosstown rivalry. So love to see Citadel getting the non-conference dub. We talked about that in the preseason where the SoCon's going to have plenty of opportunities. We thought Samford would be able to, what's the phrase? Show their end of the bargain or whatever, bring their end of the bargain, which we did not, losing to a UAC opponent. But nonetheless, the rest of the SoCon pretty respectable week one.
The Citadel Charleston Southern rivalry is known as the Low Country Boil. That's what it's known as. It's pretty sick.
That is pretty sick.
It had a trophy too. The first game was kind of one I saw. Cole Gonzalez, we know he's good, obviously preseason SoCon player of the year, but he was throwing some darts out there. He finished with over 250 yards passing, a couple TDs. They're actually 22 for 35, 211, 2 TDs. But he had one throw on a 3rd and 14 that was just a dart over the middle of the field for a big first down. So he obviously flashed in a game that Western hung on as much as they could, since we were all watching that one Thursday night. So that was kind of fun for at least 3.5 quarters until NC State shut them out in the fourth, 21-0. So
Western looked very good.
There's definitely one guarantee in my power rankings after week one. And it is that the Western Carolina Catamounts are still number one.
We'll see.
It's actually nice because Chat played Tennessee, Western played NC State, and Tennessee and NC State play next weekend. So
that's right.
I feel like it'll be a good assessment there.
Well, we know what's going to happen. Tennessee's going.
It's that whole my team beat your team, who beat their team, so my team's better than their team.
Yeah, the not staying transitive properties. Yeah, just keep going down the line. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on going-ons in the SoCon before we dig into Florida?
I think Mercer is going to be a little bit more of a challenge than we think.
Yeah, they looked impressive. Now, granted, it was Presbyterian, who was terrible.
No, I know, but coming in after a confident win against Presbyterian, I don't know who they play next. They're this week, but
they're at Bethune-Cookman.
Okay.
Then they're at schedule. And then they're at Chat in week 3.
So. Yeah, so Chattanooga will be a good test. We'll see how those teams look against each other, but I think the Bears will be in the conference all year, and they'll be causing trouble. So,
actually, before we get to Florida, I do want to go through the games because that's a good point. Who's everybody playing next week? So South Carolina State is visiting Citadel. Citadel, honestly, based on the win, might be 2-0 going into week 3, which is not what anyone was thinking. Campbell is visiting Western Carolina, so that should be a pretty good game. Bucknell traveling to VMI. What was a great game last year should be a good one this year in terms of just competitive football because neither team is very good. As we said, Mercer's traveling to Bethune-Cookman. Wofford on the road to Richmond playing the Spiders. UVA Wise traveling to ETSU, so ETSU should get the dub there. Charleston Southern. Okay, so interestingly, they travel to Furman this week. So Furman with a get-right game. We'll see. Give us a little glimpse before the conference play kicks off of how how competitive Citadel might be based on that one game. And obviously Samford traveling to Florida, and then Chattanooga coming to Atlanta to play Georgia State in what will be probably another L. But
Turner Field.
pretty fun games. Yeah, on Turner Field. So pretty fun games there across the league. But boys, it's Florida week. Start off with a little fun trivia. Everybody remembers the 2021 game where we put 42 points up in the first half. So the trivia question tonight, going back to 2021, who was second on the team in passing for us in that game? Second on the team in passing. Obviously, Liam Welch had 300, 400 yards, but who also threw a pass?
Had to throw my Twitter banner up there for the YouTube audience.
Was it
One
Montrell?
the Kansas fans at 12. Sorry.
All right, we'll start with Mike.
Was it Montrell?
Montrell, Washington?
The other Montrell.
Yeah. Jeb, what is your guess?
Gosh.
Played for the Sea Dragons. Seattle Sea Dragons. XFL team.
Yes.
Kendall?
Calvin McKnight.
Yeah, or
Calvin
Calvin,
McKnight.
Yeah, Calvin.
Okay. Grant?
Maybe Jay Stanton threw a pass. I don't know. I can't.
That's not a bad guess. Michael. Montrell, Washington. 1-for-1, 16-yard pass.
Let's go.
Fun little stat there. And then I was going to ask who was our leading rusher. It was actually Liam Welch, which is interesting. Jay had more receiving yards that game than rushing yards. He only had 7 attempts. So a very odd game. Makes sense considering we didn't really produce much in the second half, but still, just from a stats standpoint, there are a lot of oddities. All right, but guys, let's get to Florida. So obviously Florida is not coming in hot. The Fire Billy Napier drum has been beating since last season, basically, and has only gotten louder following their blowout home loss to Miami. But Samford is obviously not coming in, even if we had beat West Georgia, coming in expecting to win. Any guesses on what the line might be, given all of the noise around Florida?
I'm trying to pull up Auburn game from last year. That could be could be pretty similar.
I want to say that one was in the 30s.
Are we slamming the money line on Samford?
Trying to retire early, Jeb?
That when Sam and I get down to Florida Hard Rock app, we're going to open that up.
We're going to join the Fire community and just put $1,000 on the dogs and retire the next day.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That was week 3, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
45-13 final. Come on, ESPN. I thought you had it up.
You said last year's Auburn game was 45-13?
Yeah, that was the
I
final.
don't know why, but it feels like it was so much closer than that.
Well, it was for the first half. It was for the first half.
The line was a 38.5.
38.5.
No, over under 63.5, which
feels feels like it's going to be in the 40s considering our West Georgia result.
Yeah.
But Mertz apparently might be hurt, so maybe it is back in the 30s. I'm not sure.
Samford is. I've pulled this up before, but they're 8-3 in their last 11 against the spread in their FBS games. So,
of all the spreads to take, this is probably the one because it's kind of a coin flip. Florida's either going to come out pants on fire, avenge the Miami loss, like let's get right, let's play hard. Based on the social media activity following the Miami loss, I don't think that's likely. This team seems pretty defeated after week 1, but they still have dogs. So,
yeah, I do think we do see DJ Lagway start at quarterback if Graham Mertz is in concussion protocol. Lagway was a 5-star quarterback. This kind of the top 3 in last year's class that offers from everybody decided to go to Florida. Maybe Texas A&M's quarterback next year, but he might get the start for Florida this week. So,
I love DJ Lagway. It would be awesome if we get to see his debut. Even better if the Samford defense decides to show up and makes it a shaky one.
Yeah, it's just a matter of what can we expect going in, and what positive takeaways could there be from obviously playing a game like this.
Hear me out. Florida's not won a game since November last year.
Well,
I like it.
Okay, everyone who lost week 1, that stat is probably true too.
But that means they lost 4 games last year.
Keep going, yeah.
Yeah, but they lost to Florida State, Missouri, LSU, and Arkansas. 3 of those teams were at the top of the SEC, and Arkansas was an overtime loss.
Samford has won a game more recently. So
oh my gosh,
I'm just kidding, guys. Like it's just like they haven't lost a game since November. Maybe we can win. Ha 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 ha. Right?
I think we're going to see, if Lagway starts, we'll see a lot of quarterback run game. Thorne last year ran for 123 and 2 TDs last year, which was a little more deceptive, but Lagway expect a lot more than that.
If Lagway plays, he's going to have 200 yards rushing. I mean, we let that West Georgia kid, who's not known for being mobile, rush for 100. Well, he didn't rush for 100 yards, but felt like it.
Yeah, and Mertz only attempted 20 passes last week, 91 yards.
Yeah, he was not good.
So
that's what we need. We need Mertz rolling out there, baby.
Yeah,
little CJ Douglas pick 6.
Sam, in 2015, Lamar Jackson ran for 184 against Samford. So,
all right, so DJ ain't hitting 200. If the greatest quarterback of all time only hit 184, then
he threw for 212 and ran for 184.
Gee whiz, that's
oh my god.
Did he just sit the second quarter on? Were those his first quarter stats?
It was 31-3 at halftime, and that might have been his second career start, maybe. So probably not, but still.
Yeah. Mike, obviously we're not going to beat Florida, but what is, other than being healthy, is there anything in particular you want to see based on coming out of that West Georgia game?
Well, I'm going to talk on Florida first. It's no secret that this program is about as close to turmoil as you can get week 2 of football season. I mean, this is a make or break game. That's embarrassing for
so bad.
Whatever their coach's name is, who
Billy
played it first,
here.
by the way.
Yeah, that's right. We
Embarrassing
can't stand him.
It's week 2 of the season, and it's a make or break game for him. I do not expect this guy to be the coach at Florida by the end, let's say by Halloween.
Yeah.
And I would say that the result of this game, fascinating, but will have a big impact on how long he coaches this year.
If the game is tied at halftime, does he come out of the tunnel in the second?
I think he goes home. No. He just drives his butt back to Cookeville, Tennessee, and
is it embarrassing, Michael? Because is it embarrassing because they lost to Miami, who's an ACC team, 41-17, or is it embarrassing because they lost 41-17?
I mean, the ACC is a step up from the SoCon, so
I think it's embarrassing because he's the head coach at Florida.
Yeah,
should be one of the best teams in the country.
Yes.
And if anything else, even if he can't win football games, he should be able to recruit. And this guy can't recruit. Can't even crack the top 25 in recruiting rankings.
Oh.
Vanderbilt could probably do that. I mean,
I'm just making sure that there's no conference pride in Michael.
Hey, Vanderbilt's 1-0. I don't know what you're talking down to Vandy for. Vandy's 1-0.
That's right. Virginia
Tech. I did have Vandy in my pick'em. I was the only person in my pick'em pool to pick him. So
sick.
Yeah. But no, I just think his tenure at Florida has been so bad, and it's only been 2 years. And I get he came in right post COVID and everything, but it's been an embarrassment. I thought he was going to get fired at the end of last season. For some reason, he held on. I don't know what his buyout is, but
he held on simply because DJ Lagway got signed. That was his win. Was the 5-star quarterback. But who's he going to throw to? Who's going to block for him? Who's going to be on defense? Florida is
Montreal Johnson kid looked pretty good.
Yeah, no, they have
he's
athletes.
solid.
I mean, Eugene Wilson's a very good player. He's a wide receiver. Broadingham or something like that. The tight end is pretty lethal, but outside of that, they got Warren Sapp's son on the defensive line, which is awesome.
Pretty cool.
It's cool. I love seeing the players that we all knew as little kids their kids are now. I don't mean
That's how we know we're old. Yeah,
not that good, but
that's how we know we're old. Yeah.
Okay, we're not old, Grant, but yes.
In his opening presser, Billy Napier did have some things to say about Samford, so I can play that for you.
Let's play. What did old Billy say?
It wasn't that exciting, let me be honest.
Yeah, I threw this in the group chat. Jeff said this guy needs a Red Bull or a coffee or something. He was, but it was good.
All right, let's play it. Let's see.
We'll get another opportunity this week. Obviously, a Samford team that has history with Florida. Chris Hatcher is a great coach. I think this is year 10 for him. Samford's one of the more competitive FCS programs in the country. He's done a good job of building a program. They've continued to invest there, and he's got a good mix of players. He's got some portal players, and he's also got some good high school players. And they have a history of being competitive in these games. They played several of these throughout their time, and I've got a ton of respect as a former FCS guy. These games are important to programs like Samford. So,
yeah, some boilerplate language there. Obviously, has not studied Samford too much. We are portal kings of the SoCon, so I wouldn't say we're necessarily balanced in that regard, but I'll take it, Billy. I'll take it. He's definitely right that we're competitive in some of these matchups. I mean, the most recently, Florida State, Mississippi State, when we were at Samford, or just outside of Samford, and then Florida in a half, and then Auburn, I guess, was semi-competitive in that first half. But I don't know. He definitely seems like a coach who's over it.
I agree with Michael. Like, he's gone. Like, as soon as possible.
I didn't know
especially after we beat them, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
especially if that happens. You do know Dan Mullen would just be tweeting his face off if they did lose to Samford. That would be great.
The silver lining of playing Florida is I looked at Grant on the sideline third quarter maybe of the West Georgia game. I'm like, are we going to be recording a Doom pod on Monday or Sunday or Monday? And I love that we're playing Florida because this is turning into the Florida Doom pod. It's like we've forgotten about all the Samford woes because we get to play a team that's literally a dumpster fire at the moment.
If they fired him yesterday, they would owe him $28.3 million. So,
my goodness.
Yeah, fired football coach is the best job in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, Mike, unless you have more to talk about Florida, what is something we can look forward to or look for against the Gators?
It's so tough because, even though Florida doesn't have, they don't have as talented of a roster as we would expect from Florida, they're still SEC level talent. And
right.
most of that comes down to the line of scrimmage. And that's not something that we were very pleased with last week or this past Saturday. So just curious to see how we handle that on both offense and defense. And then looking to see Quincy's ability to make the right reads and make them quickly when he's throwing the ball. I mean, we saw he can be so dynamic with his legs. And that was probably the highlight for me of this past game was just watching Quincy take off. He's so fun to watch run the ball, but see how he improves from one week to the next as a decision maker. Those are the things I'm looking for.
Grant, Jeb?
Yeah, I like that too. Just to see how, quote, for lack of a better term, comfortable you can be in this game, right? How calm you could be in the pocket and make the right decisions, make those throws. So it's just a matter of can Samford find enough quick plays to get Florida off their heels a little bit. And we talked about this with Tay, but Samford didn't play as fast as they normally would in past years on this past weekend. That's something that's probably going to have to change this week against Florida. They're going to play as quick as they usually did last year. Just try to find any way to keep Florida out of rhythm and off tempo, and maybe break off a big play or two. So that is something to see whether Samford ups the pace, especially with Quincy getting a week under his belt, and maybe the offense can get a little bit of rhythm since they have been out there for a game. So let's just see if the offense keeps the pace going.
If the offense does find rhythm and is able to operate efficiently the first few drives, look, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to upset Florida, but it's at least going to put pressure on them in already a pressure-filled environment,
Yeah.
even if they crack, it still doesn't necessarily present an opportunity to win. But it would present an opportunity to have a competitive score at half. Jeb, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm still itching for Samford to get an upset over an FBS program that's like massive.
Yeah,
So
it's
I'm
coming.
always,
It's coming.
it's
day.
coming. It's coming. I'm always hopeful, and I'm more glass full than half empty. Like we tend to be on this pod about that, like
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
But kind of what Grant said is just if we lose, but we get some good splash plays and we kind of like scare Florida again, just like we did a few years ago, that will be enough to get me, feeling goosebumps on game day.
I can't
turn the ball over either. I forgot to say that too. You can't.
Oh yeah, no.
Give them quick fields. That just
yeah.
automatically kills you in a game. You obviously have the talent disadvantage, right? Just giving them those short fields. So especially with the true freshman quarterback on the other side, with his first start, if Lagway does play, you give him some longer fields. Maybe Thorley can get some pinned down and then get some have to go on some long drives with the new quarterback. So
it's interesting. What's scary, like if Florida could win this game so easily if they want to just come out and run the ball, quarterback run, running back run, they would not have to throw a pass to beat this team. However, if it's DJ's first start and they want meaningful reps, it could create enough opening drive or first few drives of really nothing happening because he's trying to throw the ball, force the ball, to where we could get some kind of lead. But it's, I don't know. It could also just backfire tremendously, and DJ could come out firing. First play, 70-yard bomb to Eugene Wilson for a touchdown. So they could run the ball down our throats and win the game easy. Hopefully they decide to take the hard route and put a freshman quarterback out there and try to get some reps for him and keep the game close. But I'm intrigued. I cannot wait to get down to the swamp and just feel the tension in Florida Gator Nation. Because, my gosh, the only team right now, only major program right now feeling good about themselves in that state is Miami. Florida State, well, I think it's halftime. But Florida State was not looking good against Boston College. Could easily be 0-2.
Our 2021 team was playing this Florida Gators team. Do we win?
Yeah.
No.
The problem, Jeb, with that team is you could still just run it down our throats and win the game. Like that. Like
that Florida team wasn't great either. So, but
we lost that year to national champion Georgia.
Yep.
33-0, I think, but we covered the spread.
We did do
that. Now Georgia annihilated that Florida team. But Jeb, I think the problem still is that defense wasn't good enough. It's not. We are not going to beat an FBS team until our defense gets good or we play just an absurdly weird, funky game filled with turnovers and penalties and sticky offense and maybe some rain and mud. Like, who knows, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, wait, did we play Georgia and Florida that year?
We played Georgia in that 2020 game.
No,
I'm sorry, I was thinking 2022. Sorry,
the game where we were up, or it was 42.
The year we won the SoCon,
35 at halftime.
Georgia.
I'm sorry, Jeb. I was confusing your question because I had that same question in mind, thinking the year that we won the SoCon with hires and
yeah, I just want to make sure. Yeah,
sorry, Jeb.
Yes, that year.
Sorry,
right
no.
there. Screen.
No.
That
Florida team is worse. That Florida team is worse than this Florida team. That was like bad.
Okay,
that Florida team went 4-8, right?
Yeah,
like
last year's Florida team almost beat Missouri. I mean, they should have beat Missouri.
They should have.
If Missouri didn't kick a 60-something yard field goal.
So we at least think that like this year's Florida team is better than that Florida
for
team.
Sure.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
but both are in similar positions in that the media feels that the coaches have lost the team,
Which we love. We love
which
that.
we love. Like Dan Mullen got fired at the end of that season. We're expecting a firing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar setup here.
That is true. It's odd, the timing of that. It's weird. Florida just doesn't seem like a program that needs to go through this kind of turmoil. But hey, here we are. All right, boys. Anything else on Florida? I want to hear score predictions. I am curious. I'll give you a few. I'll start. I'll give you all a few seconds to think. I think Florida. I don't know what the spread's going to be, but I bet Florida wins 55 or 54 to 18 or 21. We'll say 55-21.
I told someone 41-14 the other day, so I'll stick with that.
Okay. Jeb?
I'm going to go like 38-20 Florida.
If it's 38-20, baby, we are rolling. Mike?
All right, that's what I want.
Say 48-10.
Okay. Yeah. All right, boys. Anything else on Florida before we get to State of the Bulldogs?
I do have a thought and question. So I saw this on the Tennessee broadcast, but everybody knows that FBS teams are moving away from the signage and into the in-ear or in-helmet radio system this year. But I was told that does not apply to FCS teams.
Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
How does that impact us in a game against Florida?
Good question.
North Dakota State last week, they give FCS teams the options to do it, but they have to pay for it themselves. And North Dakota State ponied up the money to pay for it against Colorado.
Do you think that we'll pony up the money to pay for that against Florida?
No. We're
I don't know how much
budget, baby.
I don't know how much it costs, but
it changes your whole practice structure.
Yeah.
Like you've got to add so many components to your prep that week.
Yeah.
I bet
that's probably an unfair advantage towards Florida.
I don't know if it's the same as like when one team's headsets are down, the other team can't use theirs. I don't know if it's the same thing, FCS game where FCS team doesn't have it and then Florida can't use it. I don't know if that's the same logic applies there. But
that's a great question, Mike.
Yeah.
If we find anything out, we'll tweet it out. But that's golly, that kind of makes me change. We might not score 21 because the defender gets a mic too, right? Oh, it's just quarterback.
Well, actually, I don't know. In the NFL, it's one.
I thought it was one
right?
per. I thought it was one per side of it.
Yeah, I think it's the same one per. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So would Noah Martin get?
Yeah.
Theoretically, I guess.
Yeah.
That
The
might be
mics are-
easier.
Some of the teams
might be easier to implement that on the defense than the offense.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's also defense is already you're calling a play at the last second. It's already so hectic. I don't know how much it's hard to say how much the mic would help adjusting on the fly. Because it's so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
it's
just
so
thinking
scrambled
you're
already.
getting feedback from your coaches in terms of what they're seeing on the field.
Mm-hmm. I think the iPads is a much bigger difference maker. Being able to see on like real time clips. Because like the NFL is still just pictures, like they're not moving. So it's pretty awesome that in college, or at least in the FBS, that they can see a video of the last series and see what the linebackers are doing. And
Wait, the NFL, like when they have those Windows tablets, those are just pictures,
still images, yeah,
really,
yeah.
They're still sliding to pictures. Yeah,
they're just not paper anymore. It's just a Microsoft ad. That's all it is. Okay, let's get to State of the Bulldogs. Not all of the spring. I said that before we started recording, Grant. Not all of the fall sports have begun, but several of them have. We'll go through women's soccer first. So I think we had last mentioned the Notre Dame loss where they lost 0-6. They tied UAB 3-3. They beat Troy 4-0 and then dropped one to Army this past week 1-2. Coming up this week on Thursday and Sunday, we have Auburn and Ole Miss rolling in to Homewood. Should be some good games right there. Women's volleyball off to a fantastic start. So we're 2-0. We had an exhibition against Kennesaw State that we tied, but our first game was against Mississippi State, and we beat them 3-2, and then beat Alcorn State on Saturday night 3-0. We got Miami of Ohio in Evansville, Indiana, in a little Evansville Invitational. So Miami of Ohio, Evansville, and Chicago State are the three other schools there. We'll be playing them this next weekend. But pretty sweet to see the volleyball team beating Mississippi State. Not necessarily something we were expecting, but the volleyball team has always flirted with being good. And it's always great when you beat an SEC program. So some pretty good updates. We'll see how the women's soccer season evolves, but great start by volleyball.
Yeah, the volleyball win. They won the first two sets and dropped the next two and had to win the fifth to even find a way to get that win. But it was their first SEC win since 2011, the school announced. So.
That's amazing. Dang, let's go. Let's go. That's some serious momentum right there. All right, so let's get to the most fun news that we had this past week. Jet, kick it off.
Samford the basketball team will be playing Arizona and Michigan State this season. And
pretty hype.
Very exciting and very this is what happens when you make it to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Is this more exciting than the ASUN conference scheduling agreement?
Yes. The Michigan State game will be on Tuesday, November 19th. We don't have a date for the Arizona game yet. It's hasn't been officially announced by the schools, but that's at least been reported. It'll be on November 19th. It'll be in East Lansing.
Let's go, baby.
Who wants to go to East Lansing with me? That would be
I low key kind of want to.
No,
what was the date on that, Grant?
November 19th. It's that's Thanksgiving. Is that Thanksgiving week?
Thanksgiving's the last week. So yeah.
November's a sacred football month.
I got a place we could stay up there. I know somebody's got season tickets they could give us.
It's a Tuesday. Oh yeah,
we'll get credentials for that, baby. If we go up there, Mike, we'll get passes.
Yeah. Hey, Tom Izzo doesn't show up till March, so
that's exactly right. There you go.
Dub.
That's a dub.
That's a dub. He's calling it already.
Yeah, wow. That's right. It's not March NCAA tournament. Yeah, it's November. They lost to James Madison this past November, their first or second game of the year, so it's possible.
That would be hype. I'd love that we got these two games on the schedule. The Purdue one was so exciting. I mean, for the tip, but was so exciting leading up to it. This is going to be, basketball season's not even here yet. Already pretty juiced for it.
Yeah.
Anything else, boys?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
All right. Well, we have Florida on Saturday. We will release the postgame Sunday or Monday, depending on when we get back. But until then, go Dogs, and we'll catch everybody next week.
StateOftheBulldogs.com.